SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, hello and welcome to the first live session for the plastic waste management course in this particular semester. As you might be knowing, this is the third offering of this course. We started offering this course in January of 2019. So, that was the first time it was offered. So, now this is the third offering and this is the first live session. We will have two live sessions. If you have taken another NPTEL courses, you know that we do live session like a couple of live sessions for 10-week and 3 live sessions actually for a 12-week course. So, let us get started. As we do in the live session, we look at the questions that you have posted, you have been provided. The registered student for this course have been provided with a Google form and you have put on some questions there. So, we will take those questions first. Meanwhile, you can put your questions on the chat box. We are keeping an eye on the chat box and we will respond to those questions as we make progress. And I have also pulled few questions from the discussion forum, and if the time permits, we will look over those questions as well. So, let us get started. So, the first question is from Manashwani Maganur. She is talking about that few years back there was the roads were made of plastic. Plastic has been invented which is economical and effective, but not being utilized in our country more. Why aren't we not using a chance to reuse the plastic waste? In fact, plastic waste in roads are being used. It's not that it's not being used. Yes, it started from a lab in southern India, and from there it has been used in different applications. So, it is like for the road application. So, it is being used. It is not that it is not being used. Yes, you can say that it is not being used at the level at which you would like it to be, or so reason for that again, which I think I mentioned that in the class many times as well, that lack of source segregation. So, when you have mixed plastic which is dirty, which gets dirty because of all the other material which gets in there, you have to clean those plastics before you can use it for road construction. See, when you are using anything for road construction, it becomes a material. You cannot, so you are basically plastic derived from the plastic waste is being used in road construction. So, if plastic is not clean, if the plastic is dirty, so you cannot use it. So, and then you have to clean it up. So, that means you are using a lot of water, a lot of energy to clean it up, and so you have to look at the overall life cycle impact as well. There has been some concern in terms of the long term efficacy of this plastic being used in road construction. So, what will happen if this plastic gets into microplastic and then it starts like a runoff coming off from these roads and all that. There have been some research studies have been done on that area which raises a little bit of concern, but jury is not out on that yet. So, we do not really know that whether it is going to be a big problem. But again, because of lack of source segregation, because of the dirty plastic, those road manufacturers at many places, they are reluctant to use this plastic waste in road construction. Then we have Subrajit Banerjee. He is talking about that can we use plastics and plastic bottles from the sewage canal as a construction material in any type of construction? If yes, then how we can do this? Again, see, we were talking about use of plastic in the road construction. So, it is again a construction material. There have been some usage of plastic in construction material which is happening. You have to keep that plastic clean, and although it is a waste material, we think that waste material, how can it be clean? It means, see, when you are trying to recycle, it is a material. It is no more, it is a, where we call it material recycling facility, isn't it? It is no more a garbage. It is actually a material which will substitute the natural material used for that particular construction. So, it has to be clean, and that so if you can get all those plastic from those canals, and chop it off and then use it, and you can use it for certain application. There has been some work on using plastic as a brick. People are also doing some eco bricks. You may have seen that if you Google eco bricks, you will find more details on that as well. So there are a lot of applications are being sought after. There are pros and cons of everything. Say there are benefits and drawbacks of whatever you try to do, but it can be used. So to answer your question, it can be used as long as you keep it cleaner. And then if it cannot be, say if it cannot be used in construction, plastic can be a good waste to energy candidate as well, as long as you do proper air pollution control system. Now I have Roshan Saxena, who is a long time student of different NPTEL courses that we have offered. I think he is this is maybe he is taking it again, because he was in 2020 plastic waste and e-waste. He took it last time and he was among the toppers, and also he also took the other course on integrated solid waste management. So he has 3 questions. This is really nice to see that is still excited with lots of questions. I really like to have these kind of students in the class. So his first question is in namkeen packets, which is actually snacks packets that we have, it is mentioned that this plastic bag is recyclables and biodegradable, but resin code 7 is given, which is actually for other plastic. See, resin code has been done for those traditional plastic. You had those 1 through 7. Now 7 is for others. So PLA, polylactic acid, which could be the basis of this particular biodegradable plastic bag. Okay, sorry for that. We had some technical issues for which the live got stopped for a while. So we are back online now. So thank you for your patience and for being there. So I'll get back to the last question that we are trying to answer. That is from Roshan Saxena. As I was mentioning that he has been around on NPTEL courses that is being offered from our group for quite some time and doing quite well. So his first question is that in namkeen packet, it is mentioned that this plastic bag is recyclable and biodegradable, but resin code 7 is also mentioned, which refers to other plastics. So is this information written on the bag is false or true? Since number 7 plastic is very difficult to recycle, it is no point in saying it is biodegradable. See, biodegradable does not really mean recyclable as well. Biorecyclable means that you can make new products out of that, isn't it? So, and these resin codes have been done on traditional plastic. So, traditional plastic, you have the PET, HDPE, LDPE and PP and PS and all those different resin codes which is out there. Number 7 is for other types. Number 7 is other types. Since this biodegradable plastic, most likely it is probably the bag that you are referring to probably is coming from PLA based, which is polylactic acid. And that PLA, since it is doesn't come under any other resin code, it is put under others category. And usually when we talk about biodegradable plastic, we don't talk about their recyclability, we talk about the compostability of this biodegradable plastic. So we have to look at whether this biodegradable plastic is actually compostable. Many times this biodegradable plastic, although it suggests that it is compostable, it is not compostable in a home composter or a traditional composter. Actually, you need to have an industrial level composter to do composting of that. So that's where we look at when we talk about biodegradable plastic. So it is if the number 7 is there because it does not come under number 1 through 6. 1 through 6 is for a particular resin type. And this biodegradable plastic does not belong to any of those resin types. That's why it has been put under others category. Okay. Now the second question he has is whether do bioplastic or compostable plastic, biodegradable plastic also have a resin code associated with them. So for now, as far as I know, they are being put under number 7. So these things, see, everything is so dynamic in this waste management in general and also in plastic waste area. So if there is something new out there, I'm like I just tried to look at this afternoon as well. I could not find any. So I assume that it is still under number 7, which is the others category. So there is no new category has been put for this biodegradable plastic. Also inside it there is aluminum foil used. Is it looking it's looking like an MLP, multi-layered packaging. How it can be biodegradable, or are they mentioning false info? So unless we see the bag, It's very difficult to tell you whether it's a false or a true, and unless we kind of not only see the bag, we have to actually look at the bag from a characterization point of view to find out what is exactly there. So, based on what is exactly present, based on the polymers which is there, look at the biodegradability of that material. So, it can be tested out in the lab to find out whether it's biodegradable or not, but otherwise it is very difficult to say this way. So, best thing would be to kind of take some samples and test it out. There are, you know, that as Roshan, you have taken several courses, you are aware that there is a, we can do biodegradability test, either doing the BMP test, or we can look for CHONS and all that, and we can come up with whether it's biodegradable or not under different conditions. Then I have a question from Elan Govar. Is plastic waste management being effectively implemented all over India? Again, it's a very open-ended, very open-ended question. The answer to most of these questions actually comes out to be no, because when you talk about all over India, India is a big country. There are issues of waste management. Even if you talk about municipal solid waste management rules, is it being implemented all over India? Answer is possibly no. There are some good pockets. There are some initiatives. Many states, many cities are doing a decent work. They are trying to implement it. But again, as you may have heard in the class many times, it is the lack of proper infrastructure. Having rule is great, but then having proper infrastructure to get those rules implemented takes a lot of effort. And it's good that over last say several years, because of the Swachh Bharat mission or Clean India mission and all that, and even before that the Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, so different programs have been there. Within those programs there has been some push in terms of having proper waste management infrastructure. Have we reached that stage? No. Are we doing nothing? That also is no. We are making some progress, but still we have a long way to go. So, to answer your question, is it being implemented? Rules are there, but implementation is a bit on weaker side. Sunil Kumar is saying that how to control waste plastic these days. Again, I would go back to the basics of segregation, source segregation. At least follow Waste Management Rules 2016, which says wet and dry segregation. So, because see, we will have this plastic waste being produced. We don't want plastic waste, but unfortunately the lifestyle is such and that the way we are, like recently with this pandemic, again we had a lot of plastic packaging and lot of things came back to the market. So, we like it or we don't like it, in the near future, in the coming decade for sure, we will have a lot of plastic waste coming into our waste stream. So, the thing is that we have to look at ways to manage it. So, of course, we should look at the alternatives. I am not saying that stop thinking about alternatives. We should think about alternatives. We should try to come up with a material which can replace plastic, and the material which will replace plastic has to be economically at a similar level. If it's too costly, it will not work. If it does not do the job that plastic does, it will not work. So, to find a material which does the job that a plastic does, and it comes at a relatively similar price range with a similar like workability, it's not that easy. It does not happen overnight. It takes years, sometimes decades to find those material. So, we should research on it. We should try to develop those materials. We should look at the alternatives. All those things should go on parallel, but at the same time, we cannot assume that we will not have plastic waste coming in the waste stream. It will be there because it's inevitable right now. So, since it will be there, let's manage it properly as long as it is there. And so, for that you need to at least do wet and dry separation. If you can do the wet and dry separation, the dry waste can be taken, can be separated into different fractions, and then we can use that dry waste like plastic for either for say road construction. If it's a clean plastic, if it's a suitable plastic, we can use in waste to energy plant. We can do the plastic recycling. It is already all these markets are available. So, because of the mixed nature, dirty nature of the plastic, it is becoming a problem in terms of recycling and resource recovery of those plastic. Arun Gopal is saying, how we say that plastic is a waste. See, as a waste, when we say if it doesn't have value for you, when you discard a material, which does not have value for you, it is a waste material. So if you are discarding certain things, that's a waste material. That's a typical definition of a waste. So it's I think that's what you are asking for. I'm not pretty much sure about what exactly you are trying to refer to. Then Shupriya is saying, which process is more economical, segregation of various types of plastics including multi-layered, or putting it in waste to energy plants for energy conversion? Now that's again, you have to do a economic analysis. So it depends. Again, the answer is more, it depends actually. If you're talking about multi-layered packaging, if you're talking about those plastic other than PET, like the ones which are easier to recycle, say PET, HDPE, and then couple of other resin codes which are easier to recycle, which we have talked about in the class. So if you're those, I would say go for recycling. For those mixed plastics and the other things which is very difficult to recycle, and if you don't have local markets for that, and film plastics for example, if you have a waste to energy plant, let's go for a waste to energy plant for those with a proper air pollution control system. Run the plant at around 1000 degrees centigrade or higher, so that you don't produce dioxin, furans and other things, because these plastics have good calorific value, so you can do resource recovery out of that. So again, you have to have mix of both. It's not that I would say the ones which are easier to recycle, we should try to recycle those first, and then which cannot be recycled but can go to waste to energy plant. How to control waste plastic? I think we talked about that. Sunil Kumar, we do talk about in terms of how to go for waste plastic. So that kind of ends the question that we had that you put on the Google sheet. Now I'll try to get the questions one by one that you are putting on the chat box. The first, kindly suggest, Ravi Verma is saying that kindly suggest research topic for plastic waste for road flexible pavement. Now again, you can see people are using plastic in the road construction, JESCO in Jamshedpur, and then there are several also in southern parts, many parts even the government has mandated that we should try to use certain fraction of plastic waste as in road construction. So this is already there. So in terms of research, you can look at the pavement, quality, look at the strength of the pavement, you can look at the durability of the pavement. You can also, from an environmental point of view, I would be interested if somebody looks at long-term performance of these plastics in the pavement in terms of release of microplastics from these to the surface water or soil nearby. So those are the research topics which you can look at, which will be a very good mixture of transportation engineering and environmental engineering, and also material science. So those, if you get some professors working in this area, you can talk to them and try to do a PhD on that area. That PhD will be useful for the country and of course to the world to answer some of the questions, some of the queries that we have, some of the concerns we have in terms of usage of plastic in road construction. Then we have a question from Komperla Saisri. Is segregation of waste like in Japan at a basic level a good process for waste management? If yes, can we implement it? What are the pros and cons for this type? We do talk about these. It looks like you have not taken our other NPTEL course on integrated waste management, which is offered in the July session. I will strongly encourage you to register for that course, because you will get these kind of discussion, quite detailed discussion. But to answer your question, segregation, as I said earlier as well, as part of this live session, segregation is required. Like segregation is we need to do segregation. Either you do it at a house level or you bring it as a centralized location. I will prefer to do it in a house level, because that way we can reduce contamination to a maximum. So that's, and whether we can go all the way how the Japan does in a multi like a stream. Probably not to start with. Let's follow what the Waste Management Rules 2016 says, where wet and dry, and that itself will help in terms of doing proper resource recovery from this waste component. If you don't do anything with that, then it's very difficult to do recycling and resource recovery. We lose a lot of value out of that. So pros and cons, of course, of course, the government has looked into the pros and cons in detail and put that in the rule for the codes. If you, again, I will encourage you to watch the collection system video of integrated waste management course. It's available on YouTube, where we do talk about pros and cons in detail, but in you will have better resource recovery if you do that. You will spend some money, then you have to do the techno-economic analysis, and you have to also look at the life cycle analysis to see in the big picture, if you don't do this source segregation, how much not only you are losing from a monetary point of view, but you are also losing from an environmental cost. So put that all those things in picture, you will find that actually it is advisable to go for source segregation for at least wet and dry. That's the reason why the government is asking us to do, isn't it? In the rules, it suggests you do at least wet and dry segregation. So we should try to follow that. Low case, what will be the final exam pattern, subjective or objective? So it will be similar to what has been given to you in the quizzes every week. So if you are if you are following the quizzes well, and if you are doing the quiz practice, and also if you are looking at the course videos and following it up, you should be okay. You are taking this live session, so that only that kind of tells me that you are a sincere student. So as long as you do all the quizzes and everything, the exam will be similar. So don't worry about that. Abdul, sir, in assignment 4, the answer of question 1 is doubtful. So Abdul, I request you to kindly put that on the discussion forum. I don't remember right now the assignment 4 as well as question 1, but we have taken a note of that. We will look at that assignment and we will find out if there is any problem with those. We will of course issue clarification, and if needed, we'll see how that question can be handled. So don't worry about that, but do mention this in the discussion forum, although we have taken a note of your stuff. Deva Anand, some questions are indirectly asked in week 4. So again, see, you have to use your brain. So this is a graduate kind of level course or a senior undergraduate level course. This is not a like a high school or elementary school course. So I want you to use your brain. Some questions are asked indirectly. See, you listen to the video, think about it. So unless we pick your brain a little bit, how will your brain develop? So I'm sorry if the questions were a bit not what you wanted, but these are part of life, isn't it? We have to challenge you sometimes. So if it was indirectly used, so it is same for everyone, isn't it? It's not that we were unfair to some versus the other. Again, there is another question of assignment question is doubtful in week 4. So please put that in the discussion forum, because so this live session is for mainly if you have certain doubts and other stuff regarding if you have particular questions on regarding an exam question, assignment questions or weekly quizzes question. Please put that on the discussion forum, because see, I don't have all the questions in front of me right now, but we will definitely look at those and get back to you on that. Chandrakant is talking about that recently there was a news on microplastic being found in fetus. How can we completely eradicate the source of microplastic, which are so dangerous for the environment, policies, education and awareness? Very good question actually, Chandrakant. Yes, I saw that also, and in fact I shared it on some of the social media platform where I'm active. So it is a concern if it is showing up in fetus. It is in fact microplastic. We have been working like right now we just almost finished the project with National Geographic Society, with National Geographic TV that you watch. So they had funded certain projects. We're looking at plastic pollution to river Ganges. So from India, like I was my research team from IIT Kharagpur, we were involved in that, and we were looking at in terms of mismanaged plastic. And then one component of that plastic project was also looking at microplastic. It was not our job, but the other research partners were doing that, and so we were also following what is coming up. So we do see microplastics in water, and microplastics has been reported. In fact, if you have looked at those lecture videos, we talk about that microplastic has been reported in salt nowadays. It has been reported in the mineral water bottle. So since it's kind of getting everywhere, so the chances of seeing up in the fetals was not very surprising, but of course it was a bit shocking to see that it was there. So like how we can completely eradicate? By better managing. So as I said earlier, this plastic is not going to disappear overnight. We may and again I would reiterate that plastic as a material is not a problem. It is the mismanaged plastic waste which is a problem. I will repeat saying that plastic as a material is not that big of a problem. It is the mismanaged plastic waste. Whatever plastic waste we produce, we are not managing it properly. So, that is creating a lot of issue. Single use plastic, we should try to not use it, like single use we should try to phase out as early as possible. But some of the plastic goods, like right now I am using a computer monitor in front of me, you are watching on probably on a cell phone or a laptop or a monitor, or you walk into any these hospitals, all the ICU rooms and different places, you see lots of plastics. Plastic is all around us. So, we need plastic, and we need this plastic as a material. The problem comes is that when we do not manage the waste, we do not manage this plastic waste properly. So, that is where the issue is. So, this is again how to prevent it, Chandrakant. It is to make sure that we manage our plastic waste properly, follow the plastic waste management rules, do the wet and dry segregation, and that is how it can be done. We have to set up a robust plastic waste management system, because and then gradually if we can phase out plastic, it is good. We can get to some other material will come which should be able to do all the jobs that the plastic does, but the problem is more of a plastic waste management, not plastic. Plastic as a material is you can say that plastic as a material is causing the plastic waste management problem, yes. So as the paper, so as the food waste. So, so there are a lot of other waste stream as well. They are also creating problem. Plastic being it's creating because of so much of plastic out there, and then things get into the stormwater drain. So it's more visible, but there are a lot of other waste streams as well which creates issue. So we have to focus on proper plastic waste management system. Supriyo Sen says National Award 2017 policy announced by China is an effort to national short policy. That's it is there. It's the national short policy. We do talk about that. I think it's towards the later part of the course. So you will get the detail on national short policy of 2017 of the China ban and how it has impacted the global plastic waste management system. So it has been explained in quite detail actually. In fact, I think we have spent almost a week on talking about this China national short policy and its implication on plastic waste management in the Western world and also in the Indian context. So I would say you wait for that particular week and then look at that, and still after going over that, whatever the questions you have, please do ask in the next live session, because to explain the whole thing will take more than an hour, because as I said, we have taken almost a week material to do that. So annual plastic waste generation in India. So what exactly you are talking about, like what is the quantity of plastic waste generation in India? I don't remember in top of my head, but it will be something around 25,000 tons or something like that. I don't remember those. You can Google it and you find it. What is the annual plastic waste generation in India? So it's not that you don't have to memorize those figures. It's just you have to see that how to manage those plastic. That's what we need to more focus about. You can always find this number. We have some number in the courses as well, but I don't remember that in right now in top of my head. Okay, so let's see. We are we have Chandrakant. Is there any course on LCA through NPTEL? Yes, there is a course on LCA through NPTEL. In fact, that has it is again it's a course done by me. It's called Sustainable Engineering and Life Cycle Analysis. I think that's the name of the course. The first version when we run it, I think it was the Introduction to Life Cycle Assessment. Then we changed the name a little bit, but if you go on again, if you go on YouTube and put Sustainable Engineering Life Cycle and with my name, you will find it. If you go on NPTEL website also, you will find it there too. And I think that course will rerun next year. You can find it there. It did not run this year, but it is, I think, is scheduled to run next year. Some of you may be aware that NPTEL has now done a micro specialization kind of stuff. So you can take a specialization in environment, and several courses are listed there. So among those courses, that LCA course is also listed. So you can take some core courses, and then there are certain elective courses. So LCA course is listed there. So it will be offered once, maybe once in 2 years it will be offered. That's the plan. So you will see that course. But meanwhile, if you want to learn about that, you can always go on YouTube, and this is available for free. So you can look through that and go through the playlist of LCA course. If you find difficulty finding it, just put a note on the discussion forum. We'll put a link there as well. Vignesh is asking, which do you think is more harmful, microplastics or nanoplastic? See, nanoplastic, which is a term which will kind of come within the microplastic itself. So it's we don't use the term nanoplastic that much from an environmental point of view still, but microplastic means anything less than 5 millimeter. So anything above 5 millimeter is macro, MACRO. Anything below 5 millimeter is micro. So anything below 5 millimeter means your nanoplastic is also there. Now, is smaller the plastic pieces, more the problem, isn't it? So it's a tinier particle will be more the problematic. So if you think about that, of course the nanoplastic will be more problematic than the microplastic. So because the tinier ones, they more the surface area, they can also move through the environmental system much easier. So of course they will be more dangerous than microplastic. Now, you have to look at in terms of the long term fate and transport of these plastics and what happens with that. There has been studies on those too. We have looked at, some of you may have seen, we have done a blue paper on plastic pollution in ocean and with other pollution happening in ocean as well. So we have in that blue paper we looked at the different sources of these plastics as well as microplastic getting into the ocean and how to control those those as well. So we'll try to put that blue paper on the course website, on the course discussion forum, so you can look at it, where we talk about this microplastic in a bigger scale, bigger scale in terms of its impact on different environmental system. So Asit Nima ji is a senior, very like a good friend of mine. Thank you, sir, for joining. Like how are US and EU now coping with plastic waste post China ban? It is actually ending up in landfills, unfortunately. I know about US more. I don't EU. I can just bits and pieces information I do have. But if you look at again. In the news articles which shows up on different websites these days, we have like EcoWatch, and there are different websites out there which you can have a look at that. What we have seen is in general, if I just talk about in general, some places they are trying to develop local market. I was visiting Australia in 2018, and I found that in Australia, especially Western Australia, Southern Australia, where Adelaide is, we had a lot of initiative in terms of using those plastic waste within the country because of the ban in China. What China did is actually they did not really ban. The language is that the contamination should be less than 0.5%. So if you're sending 100 kg of plastic, it should not have it should have less than 0.5 kg of contaminant in there. So these recyclers in US and EU, Australia, New Zealand, wherever they used to send things to this countries, to China, more primarily to China, they found that if they have to do this cleanup all the way to that much purity, so they can use it within their own country. So there have been some incentive of developing this recycling market within the country itself. So that is happening there. You will see some pockets of initiatives showing up in different places. But they have also tried to send plastic to, say, places like India, places Indonesia, Malaysia, and a lot of other countries. They have started trying to send over there. Even recently, there was something sent to, I think, Sri Lanka, from UK, where they asked us to, they actually send it back because of contamination there as well. So they have been trying to find alternative markets where they can send it, but at the same time they are also looking at developing markets within the country, and but at many places they are struggling to do plastic recycling too. From time to time we see that in the newspapers, like in different websites, that they are struggling, so they are sending it to municipal solid waste landfill, or they are, if they have a waste to energy plant, they are sending it to waste to energy plant. So that's what it is happening over there right now. So it's a mixed bag. Some places they have tried to come up with ways to manage, ways to recycle it within the country. Places where they cannot, they are putting it in municipal solid waste landfill, especially in US. In EU, they are probably go for waste to energy plants where they can at least do resource recovery. And they do have in EU, for most part, they have good air pollution control systems. So they are able to manage in terms of dioxin, furans, and other things as well. So, Renisha Angel, why do we need to make new plastic? Recycled plastic can be reused. Good question. See, when you go for recycling of plastic, you always, every time you recycle, you start losing a little bit of its strength as well. So, if you look at the recycled content, it's not 100% recycled. So, you mix virgin plastic with recycled plastic. So, that's the reason you need to go for recycled plastic. In certain application, recycled plastics are still not being allowed. So that's why you need virgin plastic there as well. And since that much, if the waste collection in country like India or similar to India, since everything gets mixed up, the plastic gets so dirty. And then many times these plastics are actually mixed plastics. So it's not only one type of plastic, it's the container. For example, tomato ketchup. Tomato ketchup, you will have two different types. You have plastic in between, you have a layer of something else just to keep the moisture from the air does not get into those bottles. So it's a multi-layered packaging. So many plastic products which is out there, they cannot actually be recycled. Theoretically they can, but practically they are not able to recycle. That's the reason why you need to produce new plastic out there. But there are we can recycle plastic and mix it with the virgin plastic and make new products out of that. Deep Hamirani, we are working on project topic converting plastic to fuel. How can we characterize the product? Also, how can we convenient to list a problem. Let me see. Also, how we can convenience to use product. So there is some looks like there is some spelling mistake. So it's so in terms of characterizing the product, it's essentially, I think since you're talking about fuel, so you are talking about looking at waste characteristics in terms of your calorific value, and also if you are talking about a storage of fuel, so long term stability of your fuel pellets, and then what is the your strength of the fuel pellets, whether it will break down into the particles and all that. So there are tests out there. In fact, we have recently published we have submitted some papers. So we are doing some work in this area. So I would say you if whatever is your specific question, because it's a very general question you have. So in terms of how can you characterize, you will use different instruments to characterize it. For calorific value, bomb calorimeter is there. For your in terms, if you are looking at the structural strength, if you want to look at the different bonding, you can do FTIR, you can do TGA. So depends on what type of parameters you want to characterize it for. What is the goal of your study? That's based on that we can always there are different instruments which you can use. So if you are a bit more specific, I can tell you more specific answer, but in general that's what it is. So you can use different instruments to characterize, to find out whether your fuel is good enough. So one of the important is your calorific value. You can also do CHONS to look at and you can look at the FTIR to look at the different bonding. You can if you are interested from a research point of view, how the conversion happened, what was the how the different things are getting how the reaction is taking place, the mechanism. So we'll do the characterization accordingly. Okay, so then we have again Nimaji that our policymakers are enamored with this idea of plastic oil, but it has not really shown to work on commercial full scale. What is your experience and any references? So yeah, plastic oil, I have also I have not seen any big plant kind of doing that plastic oil. In terms of what I would suggest is if we can try to in terms of plastic, if if you want to really do plastic to fuel and all that, we can try to make like a waste to energy. That's what I would say the most easier way to go for. So, collect your recyclable plastic, collect it clean, do recycling of PET, HDPE and others which are easier to recycle, like those categories. Rest of the plastic, put it in a waste to energy plant and try to generate electricity from there. So, that is the easier way to do it. This plastic oil and other things, again it requires very clean feed. Now, if you cannot provide clean feed, it becomes a problem. It also requires your constant supply of certain type of plastic, and there are a lot of operational challenges associated with this stuff, and that the oil quality is also you need to look at the oil quantity. So, I don't know, as we very well know that many times these policies get swayed by certain like somebody comes and shows a very beautiful presentation, and then unfortunately we get swayed by that, and then we say okay, let's go and do that. We don't do the overall due diligence of really looking at things in more detail in terms of whether it will really work, what are the operational challenges and all that. So, based on my experience, when you have asked for my experience, I have not seen commercial full scale plant working on that. And in terms of any references, we will try to put that in the course like in the discussion forum. I don't remember right now, but I will find out and put that in the course reference, course discussion forum. Supriyo Shane, is there any internship course for toppers? I think there is. You have to contact NPTEL office, NPTEL IIT Madras office for that. They do have provisions for internship for your for the toppers of courses for NPTEL courses. They do have an offer. So, please look for their email and you can contact them. They will let you know as well. So, all the administration part of this course is handled from our NPTEL IIT Madras office. So, they are the people who can answer from an administrative point of view, from like a administration as well as the technical point of view. The course content and that is what we are we get involved in that. Prandia Gosavi has a plastic convert to fuel can be solution for managing waste plastic. Again, we just talked about that. What kind of fuel are you talking about? Plastic as a waste to energy, or you are talking about plastic as a plastochar? And there are some research which has been done where there people are trying to make plastochar as well, and they are trying to use that char as a fuel. And there have been some research being done. The plastic is being used in waste to energy plant for along with other municipal solid waste. So, when you say fuel, it can be for all these different applications. Plastic just by itself as a fuel, we don't see that much happening. Ultimately, what is plastic is coming from this petrol based product, isn't it? It's a crude based product. Your crude distillation unit, your naphtha cracker units, all those things, CDU, VDU and your like naphtha cracker unit and all that. That's what in any petrochemical plants you go and see that that's how plastic is formed. So, ethylene and then polyethylene. So, that's it's essentially coming from oil. So, yes, it can go back as a fuel, but then taking it back to the plastic oil and looking at how will you use that plastic oil just by itself, as we were trying to answer in the previous question, it becomes a challenging. That is why we do not see a commercial scale plant for plastic to oil. But it can be used as, since it is a good calorific value, it can be used as a fuel source as long as you manage the air pollution properly. You are talking about how we can tackle plastic waste litter and what laws govern it. So, again it's basically it's a plastic waste management rules, isn't it? So, if we do proper collection, if we do proper collection of plastic waste from if the plastic waste is collected properly at the municipal level, at the like a city level, or even in the like a semi-urban rural areas nowadays, if this plastic waste is collected properly, you will not see this littering happening. And as a citizen of the country, we also have certain responsibility of not litter it away anywhere we want. So, in terms of there are anti-litter law pretty much everywhere in the country, where it says that if you do this, there is a 500 rupees fine, this much fine. Yes, many times those laws are not implemented properly, and if the waste is collected properly, sort segregated from individual, from if we have the provision for proper waste collection system, and as a citizen, as a responsible citizen, if we take part in the process and help the government agencies to collect it properly, then the littering will of course will go down. So again, it kind of goes back to what we were trying to talk in the very beginning of the course, having proper infrastructure for plastic waste management. Proper infrastructure for plastic waste management is that's the need of the day. So if we can do that proper infrastructure for plastic waste management, where we can collect this plastic waste properly and as much clean as possible, then most of the there are technologies out there which can handle most of this plastic waste. Chandrakant is asking, is it possible to run any course on marine pollution and prevention through NPTEL for mariners? It is since you are talking about marine pollution, it's kind of goes a little bit beyond my expertise. But yes, it's a good topic. I would pass on your information to our NPTEL office. They can ask for people who can put a course out that, and you never know, maybe in future at some point of time, if I'm doing some research in that area, I may try to put a course in this area too. But right now, my focus is mostly, as probably those of you who know, I call myself a garbologist. So I work with different types of garbage. So it's and our focus is mostly on urban solid waste with some rural solid waste, like municipal solid waste, food waste, plastic waste. So that's the where we are doing most of our work. So that's what where we are trying to offer courses. So because if you looked at my courses, whenever I talk about in class, I give you a lot of example from the different research projects that I have been involved with, or I have seen, or I have read about. So it always excites me to do courses on those areas. So, but it's a good topic, and I will definitely pass on this information to like an NPTEL office for them to look at. Ravi Verma, what is the most promising area for research for plastic waste management? Again, Ravi, it's a very broad question. What exactly in plastic waste management are you talking about? Say, and what is your background? If you are an engineer, I would say you should look at resource recovery from plastic waste. Say, once the waste is collected properly, plastic waste is, say, assuming that we all are following waste management rules 2016. So now you have all this plastic waste stream, how to do resource recovery from there, especially from mixed plastic, from multi-layered plastic. So those are the ones which are problematic. Now, if you know a little bit of microbiology and you are good in material science, I would say look for biodegradable plastic. How to generate biodegradable plastic which is really biodegradable and which is really compostable, because many of those compostable plastic is actually not compostable in regular term. They are compostable under very specific circumstances. So how to generate regular plastic which has similar strength as traditional plastic, because otherwise people will not use it, isn't it? So if you are from a material science point of view, you can look at the material aspect of that. If you are from a legal point of view, you can look at all these EPR, extended producer responsibility policies, and all those kind of aspects. So it depends on what is your area. So based on your background, you can choose. There are a lot of things we need to learn about plastic waste. Try to, in terms of controlling the having a better management of plastic waste. So based on your area, you can choose a topic, and we touch upon several aspects of this in the course. So that should give you some idea. Again, but if you if you put a bit more specific, talk about your usually you can always contact us through email. You can find out my email on the just to Google my name, you'll find my email. That's not a problem. So we can talk about that for your specific, if you have any specific issue in terms of your research interest, we can talk about that. Vignesh, is it possible to create an environment for composting biodegradable plastic just like as it is done for in industrial compost, or any such plastic degradable in water? There are some. In fact, in the course also we show you that there are some I think it's, I'm trying to remember the name, it's a cellulose based plastic, if I remember correctly, is starch based plastic, which actually dissolves in water very easily. So it will dissolve in water. Of course, it will, if it dissolve in water, that means it will have good high BOD number in that water. So it has to be treated as a wastewater for that. But yeah, you can create, as I was trying to explain to Ravi just before, that you have to look at the type of biodegradable plastic, and based on we can look at the conditions at which certain type of biodegradable plastic will degrade better. So we can design a composter, we can design a say degrade like anaerobic digester or something where these plastic can be degraded. So, but we have to look at because just plastic by itself will not be there. There will be other waste stream as well. So we have to look at how that composter will work with other waste stream. So, but yes, it can be it can be done. So it is possible to do that. But most of the present plastic, those biodegradable plastic which is coming out, they are not degradable in traditional composting system. Baniprata is asking, sir, you can visit our plant. We are a small startup, sold at least 10 plants. Okay, so just send us your detail. We'll be happy. And then this plant is for what? I don't know, but we will be happy to look at that. If I'm in that area, we'll be happy to do that. Supriya Shane and Chandrabhushan about the final exam question paper. I already mentioned it will be similar to what you are getting in the quizzes. Usually in the NPTEL courses, we try to do that. The type of questions that you see in your quiz, similar type of question is also asked in the exam. So it will not be something like, of course, it will be different. It cannot be the same question. It will be different question, but similar type of questions will be there. So last question is from Deep Harmani, which is talking about, I have seen project about zero loss process for wet urban solid waste management, but can't find much detail. Can you describe that project? I think you are talking about some newspaper article which was done on our work in 2019, where we looked at the food waste, organic fraction of municipal solid waste. And we were trying to look at that you can take the organic fraction of municipal solid waste, and we did that hydrochar, where we produce this hydrochar, which could be used as a fuel pellets, can be used as an adsorbent material, can be also used as a energy storage material as well. So we have done that, and then the liquid part of that could be anaerobically digested to produce biogas, and then liquid can be recycled back as well, because the hydrothermal carbonization required moisture. So I think you are referring to that. So for that, there are again, you just send me an email, we'll send you some papers which we have done on that area. And then again, if you go on Google Scholar and look for details from our research group, you will find more papers there as well. So but that's, I think that's what you're talking about. If I understood the question well, and that's the answer we have. Now again, a lot of questions on on the question paper. Again, I think we have already mentioned it in detail enough that it will be similar to the quizzes. So we cannot tell you. I think there is no more things need to be said about the exam. You are taking the quiz. Exam will be similar to quiz. Of course, it will not be the same question. It cannot be, but it will be similar. The exam pattern, the question of questions, the pattern of questions in the exam will be similar to what is there in the quizzes. Okay, I think. Okay, so this is talking about plastic to oil plant. We have a plant in Pear. Okay, we'll be more than happy. Just send us the detail. We'll be Bani Brata Jana. Please do send us the detail if you're taking this course. I think that you might be taking this course. So do send us the detail, and we'll be happy to look at and see how that plants are working. And if there is one in Durgapur, it's not too far from here. If you are in Durgapur sometime, let us know. We'll come and visit you and see the plant. So I think that's it. We have almost completed an hour. Sorry for that technical glitch in between for a little while. So thank you. Thank you very much. We will have another live session for this course towards the end before the exam. So it's still, if you have some questions related to exam, still I see some questions are coming up, or you have any other questions, any other queries, discussion, put the questions on the discussion forum. We are trying our best to respond back to those questions within a 24 hours time frame. And if we get delayed for a little while, do bear with us, but the target is to reply back to you within 24 hours in terms of any questions on the discussion forum. And we will have another live session for this course towards the end of the weeks online. So enjoy it. I'm hoping that you are enjoying the course. Keep enjoying the course, and then if you have some newer information, you can also share with us on the discussion forum. Since this area is so much dynamic, so there are a lot of new information comes on a daily basis. So if there is something newer information which you want to share with the class, I would strongly encourage, and you send it to us. If you don't want to put it in the discussion forum, we will put it on the discussion forum, or you just put it on the discussion forum. Let's have some lively discussion, because we learn from each other, isn't it? This kind of courses is such that we learn from each other. And so thank you very much. All the best, and see you again in the next live session. And of course, do keep watching the lectures, and don't forget to take your quizzes on time. Thank you.